about, because we are talking about technology advancements, we will be comparing how the decision making process in human and how we are having a decision making processes with machines. Where is the gap and how technology is reducing the gap, the way decision making is carried out by human beings, and how that is being infused with the machine, the concepts of advanced artificial intelligence, the concept of machine learning, and uh, robotics, natural language processing, and so on, how those are being relevant and how those are reducing the gap between the human oriented system and the mechanical or automated system. So we will be talking about the comparison between the two. Then, of course, networking. When I talk about networking, I am referring to networking in terms of business, networking in terms of alliances, networking in terms of holding hands, as well as I'll talk about networking in terms of technologies, communications, and so on. Then I'll take up digital form because networking is all about connecting with all the stakeholders, communicating with them, sharing with them, and we are taking those traditional organizations and converting them into the business digital organizations. How that is being carried out with the help of networking. Of course, we will talk about what role business analytics has to play in decision making in these networked and digital organizations, and how it is helping the managers at different levels, right, to take better decisions that could help us in the coming future. Of course, at last I'll be talking about how business analytics is taking shapes, is advancing by infusing artificial intelligence technologies, by infusing automation in terms of analytics into that. At last, we will talk about a bit on different applications of business analytics in different verticals of management, followed by the popular tools we are using today in business analytics and artificial intelligence. I hope you all will find it relevant and fruitful. I would like to start up with a quote which is talking about technology and businesses amalgamation. The quote is, technology and businesses are becoming inextricably interwoven. I don't think anybody can talk meaningfully about one without the other. So I think this quote is quite relevant in today's world. We are talking about the integration of technology into the business. Of course, business without technology has no meaning, or technology without its implication, technology without its amalgamation in the business is serving no purpose, right? Okay.
Sir, basically then future of next 5 years, putting an example of that green window.
Okay. The
So,
future of, yeah, of course, future of business. You can see the future of technology extinguishing into the different aspects of life, different walk of life. Very correct, sir. Of course. There are a lot of things I have tried to pen down a few that we
also,
would be able
just
to.
one point I am like fascinated towards. It was also showcasing some BPR also, sir. Am I right? Business process
Exactly.
reengineering.
It was talking about business process re-engineering. It is all about defining the different kind of processes, re-engineering and restructuring them. Of course, integrating them, automating them. It is definitely talking about BPR, sir. Mobility, omnipresence of technology, having the technology helping us 24 by 7 wherever we go, talking about the global reach. Of course, location is doesn't matter at all. Completely location independency has been there. Information richness, lots and lots of information is available to us on just a click, right? We would be having handheld devices, we would be having different kind of kiosks and tools which could help us in getting the information in just a click, right? It is talking about automation, virtual reality, something about machine learning, natural language processing, analysis, reporting, putting up the different reports into different formats. It is talking about, of course, learning from the past data, expressions, happiness, future of business, green technology, and lot more to be there. Right. So this is what is the scenario wherein I can bring in the concept of artificial intelligence and business analytics into the picture. Because whatever we have seen, say 70 to 80% of that is reality these days, right? And whatever, there are a lot of things which would be, of course, in routine, which would be available to all of us in times to come, right? The video was capturing the person who is walking around, doing a lot of things while walking, right? Interacting with people, doing some kind of preparing reports, doing some kind of analysis, collecting the data, communicating and sharing the information to each other, right? So this is how artificial intelligence, which help us in automating all these processes and making all these things available on our devices. Business analytics, that is helping us to gather and collect the data, refine the data out of the given piles of data, presenting that data into something meaningful, some meaningful form, in form of graphs, in form of pictures, in form of trends, in form of behaviors, right? It is helping us. So basically, this is what the presentation or the webinar is all about, that how AI and business analytics are helping us in carrying out all these business processes in a more efficient and more effective way. Fine. So I would like to start with, as the first agenda in the list was decision making. What I truly believe, that when we talk about the most primary responsibility of any manager, the manager, any vertical he is serving, might be in finance, might be in marketing, might be in HR, or might be any other vertical. The primary job of any manager is decision making. It is all about, we would be having all the possible alternatives available to us, and we have to find out the most optimum solution, most optimum alternative out of that. And to make any decision, of course, the primary requirement to make a decision is the data. The more data available to us, we are prone to take better decisions. The data which is updated, data which is complete in all the senses, data which is updated, if we would be having all that kind of data, we are bound to take better decisions, right? So of course, the manager has to take decisions. These might be the short-term decisions, routine decisions, or might be the long-term decisions, strategic decisions. Then business analytics is there to help us in order to collect the data from different resources, integrate that data, put that data in form of reports in order to extract the meaningful information from that data, in order to extract the meaningful pattern out of that data. And by analyzing those patterns, by analyzing the hidden data which analytics has extracted for us, we can design and develop our strategies for the future. When we talk about decision making, I think data is the most primary ingredient of decision making with the help of business analytics. When we talk about decision making in human beings and decision making is in machines, of course, there are two different ways, two different approaches, algorithmic versus heuristic, right? Algorithmic is a decision making approach with the machines, right? Which is a structured, we are having algorithm means a set of steps in order to carry out, in order to perform a particular task. Machines are being programmed, designed on different algorithms. And of course, for every specific task, those set of steps are to be followed. Machine has to go to step 1, then step 2, then step 3, and so on. For any set of inputs, those steps will be followed, and then we will be reaching to output. Wherein when we talk about the decision-making process in human beings, it is more heuristic in nature. When we talk about heuristic, we are talking about something which is not structured, something which is not in a stepwise form, something which is flexible. We would be able to skip a particular skip a particular step for a particular problem. We might include some more steps or some more processing steps into the process. So there is a lot of flexibility in heuristic approach, as well as there are things like default reasoning. When we talk about human beings, we have something which is called default reasoning, something common sense, something we know it from our experiences, we know it since our inception. We learned it from others, we learned it from the experiences, which is not there with the machine. Machine is simply garbage in, garbage out. The way it has been programmed, the way it has been instructed, the way it has been designed and developed, the way, the kind of output it will produce. It doesn't learn from the environment or from the past experiences. Second point, if I talk about in heuristic approach, is context sensitivity. There is a lot of ambiguity which is lying with the human approach, right? One statement might be having different meaning with respect to different context. It happens many times that one particular statement which has been given in a particular context, the same statement might be having a different meaning in some other context. Machines are completely context free. A is equal to B plus C will always remain A is equal to B plus C. It doesn't have any other meaning, right? If we talk about another thing, say, let's talk about what is perceived. We human are, of course, there are different kind of people, they are having different kind of mindset, different people have different way of approaching and thinking. So of course, however we perceive, that's how we react. So the perception is also very much important. If a particular report, if a particular picture is shown to 5 different people, those different people might be having different kind of interpretations for the same picture, for the same visual, for the same data. Wherein when we talk about machines, they are completely context sensitive. There is nothing like perceivance. There is nothing like how it has been perceived. It is completely concrete, and the way it has been formed, the way it has been designed, it has been taken up as it is, right? Look, when we talk about data or information, right, one more point I'll move further before going through the previous slides. Ultimately, it is all about data. When data is being captured, of course, it is being transformed into something meaningful, something organized that could be used for processing and analysis. We call that as information. Of course, when information is collected together, it forms knowledge, and that knowledge is acclaiming us the wisdom on which we can take better decisions. When we talk about this data, I was talking about that the more data we have, we would be well informed and we would be in a position to take better decisions. But is it just the amount of data which is available to us? Because we can see that there is a lot of data available these days, but how much data is relevant, how to find which data is relevant and which data is to be used in the processing of your systems. That is very much important. There are a lot of issues lying with data. Suppose we have any query, we go to Google, we type in our query, and we get lots of URLs wherein the relevant keywords are being matched and we would be able to find the relevant information. But is that all the information that would be relevant? No, of course not. We have to find which one would be beneficial to you, which data would be relevant to your requirements, and accordingly we have to filter out the data. Data might be incomplete, data might not be updated. Of course, the kind of data we have, we would be analyzing the same kind of data and same kind of output would be generated. There are a lot of issues with data. One piece of information might change the complete course of action, right? Introduction to something new, some updations on information would be completely changing your solutions. Let me narrate you a small story and would be able to relate and convey you what I'm trying to tell you. A person was murdered, right? There were three prime victims in that murder case: person A, person B, and person C, because they were the three beneficiary out of the murder of that person. Now, person A has an alibi. Person A has an excuse that at the time of murder, he was not present in the city, he was outstation, and as a proof, the person is having a valid entry in a reputed hotel visitors register, right? So, according to that hotel, the person was staying in their property at the time of murder. Person B was also having an excuse that at the time of murder, he was visiting one of his relatives, and as a proof, his relative, along with some of his neighbors, are witness for that. They are saying, yes, the person was with us and we were partying together at the time of murder. Person C was also having an excuse that at the time of murder, he was watching a football match live in the stadium. Unfortunately, person C has lost the tickets and he has no proof to claim that at the time of murder he was there in the football stadium, right? If I'm the investigating officer or if you might be the investigating officer, as of now, who would be the prime suspect according to you in this particular case? Of course, I'm not giving any clean chit to anyone. There might be false documents, there might be false people who are witnessing for somebody. But of course, as of now, person A is having a strong proof, a documentary proof. Person B is having some of the witness who are, of course, justifying, who are validating his statement. Person C has no documents. Person C has nobody to claim or to prove that the person was watching a match. So he is the suspect, prime suspect in this case as of now, right? Fortunately, the match was recorded and it was retelecasted the very next day on the television. And again, fortunately, person C was caught on the camera, waving hands, cheering up for his football team exactly at the time of murder, right? Now, if you could see that this one piece of information with one updation, one change in information has completely changed the scenario. The person C is having a valid proof and he might not be considered as the prime suspect in this case. Now we might move to person B or might be to person C and so on, right? So what I'm trying to talk about, one, when we are talking about an algorithmic approach or heuristic approach, there are a number of issues, there are a number of things in the human decision-making process which are not being taken up as it is in the machines. And of course, machines are not that smart. Machines do not have anything which is called default reasoning. Machines are context-free. There is no context sensitivity with the machines, right? There is no way of how we perceive the things. Machines are completely discrete. Machine works on the discrete data. Machine works on the numerical data. Machine don't read out expressions, right? Because when we talk about these facial readings, when we talk about expressions, voice recognition systems, this is how the AI brings in, and AI is taking all these things further, right? Say, if I have to ask somebody to leave, there could be different ways. This kind of words I pick to ask somebody to leave, my voice, my pitch, the modulation in the voice, my facial expressions, that might interpret the same statement in different ways. So this is what artificial intelligence is helping us in making the machines more compatible, more closer to the heuristic way of processing the data and providing us the decision-making capabilities which are more heuristic in nature, not just algorithmic, right? this is what is the preamble. If we talk about decision making in any organization, of course, these are the different major business functions every organization has. I'm not going to discuss in detail, right? There are different levels of management and different kind of decisions are taken up at different levels. We talk about operational managers or operational level of management, which are monitoring the firm's daily activities. These are doing all the routine work. These are recording transactions, collecting data. They are the people who are on the assembly line. They are, if you are in bank, they are the people who are maintaining the ledgers, the cashiers, and so on. Right. So of course, they are doing all these kind of data capturing, data collection, data organization, converting them into some kind of reports and passing it to the middle level of management. When we talk about middle level of management, of course, the managers would be there. They are carrying out the programs and plans of senior management with the help of people at the operational management. Then we would be having senior management or the senior level of management or the strategic level of management, wherein we would be having people who are involved in long-term decisions, talking about planning, talking about taking strategic decisions, developing strategies. So if you could, filter out these three different levels, the kind of decisions we take at operational level, those are completely structured decisions. Some machine is not working, some employee is not present. We need not to do any kind of thinking or brainstorming for that. That would be a routine decisions. Okay, if an employee is not present, we can simply delegate his or her work to some other employee. If a particular machine is not working, you need not to think. You have to simply follow a procedure. You have to inform it to the line manager, and then you have to send it to your vendors or the people who are responsible for repairing and so on. So at the operational level, we do not require more of analysis. We do not require more of brainstorming. When we talk about middle level of management, therein your short-term decisions are being taken. The people in sales and marketing, of course, they would be taking a decision on the targets of the team members, which member has to be given how much targets, right? What should be the, weekly target, what should be monthly target, how to improve on your sales figures and so on. If you are an HR manager, right, you are taking a short-term decision in terms of your leave structures, in terms of appraisals, in terms of training and development needs of the person. So all these decisions would be short-term decisions, semi-structured in nature. Of course, these are not ready-made or structured decisions wherein we have to follow a stringent structure in order to take any decisions. Therein we require to analyze the situations, we require to analyze the data available with us, and on the basis of that, we have to make certain projections which are short-term in nature. Then when we talk about long-term strategic decisions, right, of course, long-term strategic decisions, like we are working on 5-year sales trend forecasting. We are talking about 5-year operating plan. We are talking about where would we like to see our organization 5 years down the line. We are working on the people management for the next 5 years or 2 years. We are doing a annual budgeting. So of course, you can see that there is a lot of analysis required in order to make projections and forecasting for the future, because future is always uncertain. There are a lot of things which would be in your control. You can control on your manpower, you can control on your processes, you can control on the technologies and machineries you are using in your organization. But there are a lot of factors which are not in your control. You cannot predict for what would be the business environment 5 years down the line. What kind of taste and preferences customers would be having 2 years down the line. What kind of products and services will be available in the market. You are not predict or forecast something if there is a change in the government policies, regulations, taxations, and so on. You cannot plan for it because that is not in your control. You cannot forecast about the natural calamities or disaster, and that can completely change your course of action, your plans. So the more it would be for longer term, it would require complete data mining. It would require to analyze and consider each and every minutest detail of on all the perspectives, on all the stakeholders, which would be available for the future estimation. Fine. So that is how we would be having different kind of tools or different kind of analytical capabilities required at the operational level, at the middle level, and at the top level. Of course, the complexity will grow as we grow in the ladder from lower management to the top management. In a similar way, the kind of tools and technology we have to use at the operational level, at the middle level, and at the top level would be different in terms of complexities, in terms of its analytical capabilities. Fine. Of course, when we talk about any organization, we are talking about a lot of things, a lot of questions. Every manager, every organization, every process has to face. Right. Say few of the examples are which are our lowest and highest margin customers. Who would be my customer? Who are my customers? What kind of products they are buying? Right. What is the most effective distribution channel? Am I using that distribution channel? What product promotions have the biggest impact on the revenue? What kind of promotional activities can attract more number of customers to me, and so on. So for all these kind of small questions, of course, we would be having the data available with us. We require something which can take up that data, analyze and process that data in order to answer these questions, right? This is how the ladder of converting data into decisions, this is how we grow. This is how we go about it. We start with the data that is nothing but with the collection of facts and figures, raw facts and figures. We just filter out the relevant information out of that data, organize that data into some form where it could be analyzed. Of course, the data, that processed data or information, that is nothing but the meaningful data we have got that is converted into information. Then, of course, that information is being utilized by classifying it, by clustering out it, by taking that information into its relevant functions and so on. And that's how when the information is collected together, it forms a knowledge. Of course, by optimizing that knowledge into a focused funnel for a particular process, we would be having a wisdom to take decisions. Whatever we can collect from that knowledge, we can apply that knowledge to build various models, and those models would be reused for different business situations, for analyzing those situations and take better decisions for us, right? So when we talk about networking, as we were talking in the beginning, it is all about, are we doing it right? When we talk about business networking, we are referring to collaborations and alliances. We are referring to connecting with the customers. We are referring with networking with the competitors in order to know about the USP, in order to know about the product and services available in the market to have a competitive advantage. Business networking for product innovation, business networking for knowing and understanding the market, the customer, the business models, and so on. So are we networked in that term? Are our business processes, are our goals and features are networked and mapped with the kind of business environment we are operating in? That is the one aspect of business, that is one aspect of networking. The other one is, are we networked in terms of technologies? When we talk about a computer network is nothing but connecting the various computers or the nodes or the devices in order to establish communication, in order to establish sharing of data across those communication lines. It is all about we can create a platform on which we make transactions. So when we talk about computer networks, it's all about communications, data sharing, and making transactions in order to take our businesses further. Of course, if the systems are not networked, systems are not connected together, we cannot think of applying some kind of automation on that. We cannot think of artificial intelligence systems, or we cannot think of business analytics, because until and unless all the stakeholders, all the processes are not being connected to each other, because we have to gather the information from different verticals, different stakeholders in order to analyze that, we won't be able to serve the purpose. So the basic idea is that we should be completely networked in terms of course, our business perspective also, as well as in terms of technologies also. Fine, because digital firm or any digital organization, it is all about connected with all the stakeholders in any organization. Those stakeholders might be internal stakeholders. Internal stakeholders would be your employees. Internal stakeholders would be the kind of systems you are using in your organization. Internal stakeholders would be the different verticals, different departments, different processes you are using in your organization, as well as also connected with different external stakeholders. Those would be your customers, those would be your suppliers and vendors, those would be your business partners, those would be, of course, controlling and connecting with your factories, with your remote offices, and so on. So when we talk about digital firm or digital organization, it is not all about that any organization which is having or which is providing or offering any digital products or digital services. No, it is all about the organizations which are operating digitally, which are actually digitalizing their internal as well as external resources, right? And these are the drivers for the digital organization. We require a network of computers, we require a network of devices in order to get connected, in order to get digital. And of course, on that, we would be having something e-commerce. Because when we talk about networking, networking is all about building up a connection, connecting the different resources so that we would be able to communicate and share resources. In order to make us use that computer network for transactions, we require something known as e-commerce, right? So this was the platform, the basic thing. Of course, the networking, why is it required? Why is it important? And then how this digital organization, business analytics could be taken up in these digital organization to help us taking better decisions. When we talk about business analytics, it is all about bridging the gap or reducing the gap between the data available to us and the kind of business problems, business questions, and business situations we are facing. We are having mountains of data available to us. These are the different questions, different issues we have, and we have to extract the relevant data that can address all these queries. Here we would be having business analytics, which is helping us to extract the relevant information pertaining to the questions, right? So when we talk about analytics, or we are going to define the gap, which we have shown in the previous picture, this could be put into different kind of statements, like many organizations are not able to generate the information they need. One of the biggest problem, what kind of data do I need in order to answer a particular question or in order to solve a particular problem? Organizations can't generate insight fast enough to act upon that data, right? Now, this is very important. Look, if I give you a balance sheet of any organization, now that would be capturing all kind of assets and liabilities, all kind of expenses, all kind of revenues in that balance sheet. Now that balance sheet, if this is being given to 5, 8, 10 people, there are a lot of insights in that business, in that sheet, which one might be able to extract or one might be able to read. Some other person might not be able to read. When we are having any data in a tabular form, in a graphical form, or in any form, of course, those numbers, those graphs doesn't show each and everything. We have to get into the lines, we have to get through the hidden information out of that data. We have to generate those insights, those hidden patterns out of that data. If we would be able to catch those information which might not be directly visible through that data, we can use that data for better decision making, right? So companies are having this problem, and we would be having some solution for that in form of business analytics. What we can do with that, we can predict the buying behavior and decision criteria of the prospects. This is representing what if we can have these things under our belt, of course, we would be ahead in the competition. If we could predict the buying behavior, if we could identify our customers, if we would be identifying the advantage, if we would be able to identify what kind of new products and services the customer is looking for, if we would be able to evaluate the kind of impact we have with our marketing campaigns. Does it have any impact on the customers or not? What if we could improve customer experience, right, by getting the information from the customers, so that we would be able to use that data in order to reduce the attrition, in order to make our customers more satisfied with our products and services? What if we could predict the failure of critical equipment processes? If we would be able to forecast, estimate, or project all these things in advance, of course, we would be well ahead in the race, right? So business analytics is helping us to have these kind of advantage. If we would be having the data available with us, and we would be ready for the kind of problems, the kind of issues we would be facing in future, we would be well prepared for it, and we can act accordingly. If we are going to define business analytics is not a term which is coined 2 years, 5 years, 10 years back, right? We talk a lot about business analytics in the last 5, 6, 10 years, but business analytics was there since the inception. It is just that business analytics now is more into trend or more highlighted because we have got a lot of tools, we have got a lot of mechanisms in order to extract data from different resources, in order to analyze that data, in order to extract the relevant information out of that data, right? Business analytics is not an individual area, but it is a combination of different streams. When we talk about business analytics, of course, first and foremost is domain knowledge. In whatever domain we are serving, that domain knowledge would be required in order to analyze your processes. Of course, it is all about data, IT, it is all about business statistics, it is all about mathematical and computer-based models. It is a combination and collection of all these different streams, which is there to help managers gain improved insight about their business operations, so that we can make more robust, more fact-based, and better decisions, right? When we talk about the different stages and scope of business analytics, so basically we start with descriptive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive, and cognitive analytics, right? Descriptive, as its name suggests, describing the data. Descriptive analytics is all about taking the past and present data getting uh, the relevant information out of that data. It is all about understanding the past and present data. What is happening, right? Predictive analytics, of course, when we talk about prediction, we are talking about something for the future. So it is all about reading out, understanding the past and present data in order to make projections and estimation for the future. What is going to happen? What is happening? What is going to happen, right? Then, of course, we would be having prescriptive analytics, which is one step ahead to that. If we are able to project that what is going to happen, what would be the remedies or what action should I take? And at last, of course, cognitive analytics is a learning analytics wherein we talk about whatever I have learned from these three different levels to reuse and reapply whatever is most optimum and best I have learned from the past. Fine. I can take a very layman example. Let's talk about a patient and a doctor. Fine. We are suffering with some problem. We go to a doctor. The first thing a doctor does is descriptive analysis. Right. The doctor get into what is happening. The doctor will ask you about what kind of symptoms you have, what kind of problems you have. Right. Analyzing that, what those symptoms are referring to. Then, of course, prediction. If these symptoms would going to continue for 2 days, for 3 days, for a week, what can happen? Then, of course, the doctor writes the prescription, writes you the medication. Okay, this medication has to be taken up in order to avoid what could happen. So prescription is all about taking action on whatever projections you have estimated on that. Now, cognitive would be, of course, learning from the past. If we are having a set of symptoms and we have given a set of medication for those symptoms, of course, there are 5 patients who are coming to me. I have written the same kind of medication to all those 5. And I can learn, okay, these medicines would be more effective for these, for taking care of these kind of symptoms. These medications will be more effective in these kind of patients and so on. So I learn from all those my experiences, from those past actions, from the past solutions which I offered, and I can reuse and reapply it to the prospective patients or the coming patients in the future, right? So these are the different stages, different phases of business analytics. And of course, we use different kind of tools at different level. For descriptive analytics, we talk about the basic data description tools. It might be MS Excel, it might be MS Access, it might be any descriptive tool like Cognos. You might be having a number of other tools. When we talk about predictive analytics, we would be having tools like SPSS. We would be having tools like Watson there to help us. When we talk about prescriptive analytics and cognitive analytics, we require much more advanced tools. We require R, we require Python, we require Qlik, we require big data, Hadoop, and all these kind of tools and technologies over there. Fine. Next, I'm not going to touch on this. Time is less. Let me move to the next aspect, the life cycle of analytics. We know that it starts with identifying the problem, collecting the data, preparing and filtering out that data, transforming that data, processing that data, building a model, validating and deploying that model. And these are the 4 people who would be involving in analytics lifecycle. If we talk about the business manager, he would be the domain expert. He would be the person who would identify the problems for which the solution has to be found out. Right? He would be the person who let us know that who would be my source of information, from where I can collect the information in order to collect the data and of course then analyze that data. If we talk about business analyst would be involved in data collection, data exploration, data filtering and visualization and report creation. If we talk about statistician or data mining expert, of course, whatever data is being collected and explored by the business analyst, it will take up those reports, and of course, it will apply different kind of statistical concepts and techniques in order to extract the interpretations, the solutions out of that data. The IT system or the IT manager would be responsible for whatever model is being built by this data miner or statistician. It will validate that model and implement or deploy that model in the organization. Right. The last thing I would like to talk about, a new term which is coming up these days, something known as augmented analytics. Augmented analytics is nothing but it is integration of business analytics with artificial intelligence, right? These are the different applications I have put forward on the screen. If we talk about natural language processing, developing and creating chatbots, sentiment analysis, sales predictions, we have seen the automated self-driving cars, we have seen different kind of GPS systems, facial expression recognition, image tagging, taking up different what if scenarios wherein we are having different kind of solutions available with us and finding out the most optimum solution. So when we talk about augmented analytics, we are actually mixing up, we are actually integrating business analytics with artificial intelligence so that the concepts like machine learning, robotics, automation, natural language processing, that could be the part of business analytics. And complete business analytics process can be automated, and this business analytics process can get us different meaningful interpretations that could be applied in human and machine oriented systems. When we talk about artificial intelligence, of course, artificial intelligence is nothing, as its name suggests, it is all about the study of making those things, those tasks by the machines which at present human beings are taking care of, right? So it is all about the study of making the machines do things which at the moment people are doing better. It is artificial intelligence is simply used for automation. It is used for, of course, providing us the solution of the heuristic problems. It is all about analyzing the information which might not be quantitative, because statistics can help us in processing, analyzing, calculating different kind of quantitative data available with us. But when it comes to the data that might be in form of text, data in form of voice, data in form of pictures, data in form of language, data in form of expressions, how to read those expressions, how to quantify the expressions, how to quantify the text data, how to quantify the sentiments of a person, how to quantify the satisfaction level, how to quantify the level of stress, right? All these things which are not measured exactly in a quantifiable measurement, AI would be helping us. There are different verticals in AI also, say fuzzy logic systems, which are dealing with all these kind of problems. Fuzzy logic systems in voice-based systems, fuzzy logics in neural networking, and a lot of other techniques of artificial intelligence, which are making us or which are enabling us to explore this side of business analytics, this side of data conversion, right? So this is the future, augmented analytics. The future is, because ultimately, if we have to grow our business, we have to take our business on heights. Of course, we have to be well prepared and well aware of what is there in the future. If we would be able to estimate, if we would be able to know it in advance that, okay, this is the future of business, this is the future of these products or services, or this is going to happen next, we would be prepare ourselves well to face those challenges in the future. And well prepared we are, of course, we would be staying there in the industry, in the business forever, right? So, for any business management student or any aspirant, it is well to understood, it is well to understand that if we have to survive in this cutthroat neck competition, we have to be well ahead of our competitors. In order to be well ahead of our customers, our competitors, sorry, right? We must be well aware of what kind of changes are taking place in business environment. We should be well equipped with all kind of analytical tools and technologies available to us. We should be well aware of the different kind of business opportunities which are lying, and different kind of changes which are taking place in the business environment, in the economy, in the political perspective, and so on. So if you want to be well ahead in the race, if you want your future to be safe and secure, of course, you have to rely on your domain knowledge, you have to be rely on technology, you have to be rely on your analytical bent of mind, you have to be rely on the adoption of the new technologies like artificial intelligence and so on. On this note, I'll end it up. Different tools I'm not going to discuss. Time is also less, and of course, we all are quite aware of these tools. If we talk about marketing and so on, these could be the different analytics application, and we are having tools for that. If we talk about analytics in e-commerce environment, Google Analytics is going to help us. If we talk about analytics in supply chain and HR, we are having different dashboards available to us, which can give us the data which could be easily viewed, visualized, and analyzed in order to take up decisions on different HR or supply chain processes, right? We are having different tools like R, Python, Power BI, Tableau, Visor, Clicks, and so on to help us out. I would be concluding with the statement: the big winners in tomorrow's business race will be those organizations that are big of brain and small of mass. So my humble request to you is, we have to be big of brain. We have to be advanced and updated. It is not all about to be the big in terms of volume, in terms of man-force, in terms of equipments, but it would be more relevant to be big in terms of your domain expertise, in terms of your analysis skills, in terms of reading out the hidden pattern, in terms of technological advancements. Thank you so much for your patience learning, and the floor is open. If you have any questions, I will take it up.
Students, we can have questions from sir if you have any questions, or you can just type in the chat box or ask directly. Any question related to business analytics, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, anything. Anshul, any question?
No, sir, no,
Riaz,
sir.
Anup sir, any questions? Okay, so I think the session was so thought-provoking and amazing that there is lots and lots of learnings involved, sir. And actually, we learned a lot from this session, because this is an area which everyone needs to get in, and this is something which is known as future of not only India but of the world. That will be helping all of us. So the session was so amazing, starting from BPR, business process reengineering. The video part was very amazing. The way you explain things very easily, the tough things and all, and then ending it with web analytics, telling the future, upcoming future, having some aspects of industry 4.0 also, the major trends going on. So it was a enriching session that gave a lot of learning involved. And though you have already stated the statement, like I used to end with the statement, I'll just say one point, one statement, considering your topic of the session, that your network is your net worth. Am I right, sir?
Yes,
So,
absolutely, sir. Absolutely.
so with this, I think we are enlightened to have you today on the stage, and especially special regards and thanks to you that you took time for this session. And we hope for such sessions in future, sir. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
sir. Thanks to you and thanks to the organization.